Right, let me show you how to do this one here then. So this is a fantastic technique where we're actually going to put some of our ink inside the embossing folder, but have a mix of the different colours. So I'm using the Poinsettia embossing folder for this one. What you're going to do is when you open the folder up, you'll see that the back of the folder is all raised, whereas the inside of the folder is indented. It's the inside of the folder where we're going to put our ink because we want that to be on the raised part of our cardstock. Look at these hands, you can tell we're doing inky work today, right? So I'm going to ink up this side. Now, while I'm doing that, before we get started, I've just got a piece, I'm working with watercolour card for this one, right? So what I'm going to do is just take one of my little spritzers, yep, that one's full of water, and just give this a nice all over wet. So I just want to get this nice and wet.
Sarah?
I'm using the watercolour card with this one. Yep, so I'm definitely, because we're going to use that lovely, we do need to be able to watercolour with it. Now, just ignore the fact that I've got a little bit of blue on there, right? That was just off my fingers. Hey, off you go. Right, so we're going to leave that to one side for that to really soak in while we do the colouring, right? I'm just trying to keep nice and organised as well. So again, I'm going to just use this and dry off my base here. So what I'm going to do, Jo, is use some of our aqua pens. Now, really important this, aqua pens. The sparkle pens would do the same. Anything that is water-based, you can't use your alcohol pens. So don't use like your tri-blends or your classiques or whatever. It's not going to work, okay? Now, what I'm going to do, onto the indented side, I'm just going to colour. So we're going to have a middle to our poinsettia. And then I'm going to go in with a nice, this is crimson, and I'm going to colour in those gorgeous poinsettia, just the little bits that go inside, not the leaves behind, and we're going to do the leaves in blue. So we've got all of our ink in there, okay? Then I've got my, we've got our cardstock that is nice and damp, but it's damp, not too wet. Oh, I'm not going to rub it over with my fingers. Let's have a look. Just make sure it's damp, but not too wet, because you're going to squeeze the water out. Bear in mind, we're about to put it through our embossing folder, right?
Which is basically like a mangle, as when we
mangle,
put it through
and it's going to squeeze. So I'm just trying to squeeze some of the water out without getting my dirty fingers on it. Right. So that's nice and wet. You're going to go face down with your nice wet cardstock. We're going to pop this down there now. And you can see there where we're going to get that colour, all right? So, with our sandwich combination, just like before, we're going to go base plate, then we're going to go your magnetic, your top plate. We're going to send these through. Now, within this collection, this technique works particularly well with the poinsettia. It works brilliant with the baubles. It's going to work fantastically well with the wreath design. So you'll see we've actually been doing a lot of this, a lot of thinking has gone into the design and what techniques you're going to be able to do here. That looks amazing, doesn't it just?
It looks like vintage wrapping paper or something like that almost. I love it.
Vintage wrapping paper. And you see it's brilliant because it's getting us, I'm going to make sure this is nice and dry now because we're now going to take it to the next level. So it's getting us that ink just where we want it, but it's not too much. And actually, by having put it through the machine, we've kind of mangled a lot of the water out. So can't we just take a moment to appreciate how incredibly well that is sculpted now, because we wet the paper as well and it's watercolour card, it's kind of pulped a little bit into there. That is off the chart, Jo, off the chart, right? Now, let's take it another level again. Little bit of our ink pad, right? Look, I've just realised I've missed a little one under here. Do you want me to show you what we can do? If you do that, then you miss a little bit. If you want to add a little bit more colour in on areas where you've missed it, right? All we can do very, very easily is you can come in. So that was with a little bit of moss, right? So we'll pop a little bit of moss down there. We can bring in just our paintbrush, take off most of the ink, and we can just pick up a tiny little bit and we can just paint in where we've missed the colour.
Because I guess it's already embossed, so all you're doing is then following over the detail that you missed.
Painting over the detail of the embossed bit. And I just want it very, very light. I had a little bit too dark to begin with there. And then a little bit of crimson for our little bit of poinsettia behind. And there we go. Nobody will ever know that I'd missed that bit out. There's a little bit here that's missing as well. We'll just fill it all in. You would never know that that was missing. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do some techniques like this a little bit later as well. Right, here we go. Now, totally next level it obviously you want your gilding wax on. So watch what's going to happen now when I come and take a little bit of, should we put some Empire Gold on? Traditional gold, I call this in the gilding waxes. This is the first one that ever came out. So take off the excess there, just rub it over the middle.
Oh,
and now
wow,
that embossing just
it.
popped, doesn't it? That embossing just completely pops. And every time I'm only using the tiniest amount because you can build it up, you can't take it back off. So the more you get that built up, oh yes, and then you can also buff it to a nice shine as well there as well. And then to make that into a card, all I'm going to do, Joy, is I've got some of the gorgeous glitter card that we have on the show, all right? So I'm going to just do a little bit of matting and layering onto the glitter card. And then that is, you don't need to do an awful lot to the rest of the card. I honestly think it looks fabulous, just like that. So that just shows it off really, really nicely. And then I'm going to take it onto the front of a nice, simple 6x6 card. That's the way that we want. So front of a 6x6, when you were saying about these being really nice as a square design, they do work really well. So, and they're just a little tiny bit smaller than 6x6. We designed it that way so that you can do your matting and layering on them and they'll look really, really good on a 6x6 card.
Lisa's asking, can you do that same technique with the sparkle pens if you wanted to?
Yes, absolutely. You could do the same
brilliant.
technique with the sparkle pens. So I use the aqua ones because it's a little bit easier to be quite accurate with the colour. But yeah, you can. It's as long as it's water based, the technique works in exactly the same way.
Fantastic.
There we go. Merry Christmas.
That is absolutely gorgeous.